Post you putting that on your eye. Okay. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about planning your time. And I'm very excited because I had never really done the math for how much time I wanted you guys to work a week. I was like, I know I gave you the systems, and I was like talking with a friend of mine. She's like, so you're gonna save me money, or you're gonna make me more money in less time. I was like, yes. And I was like, how much time would I want you guys to work during a week? Like physically, I'm like, how much to implement the systems, the main systems that are going to get you clients? How much time would that take? And I realized that it's 8 hours, like 8 hours to consistently just do the stuff that's going to give you the biggest return on your investment. Which really, if you think about it, even if you're working a 20-hour week, that still gives you 12 hours just to coach people or work with people. Again, Morgan mentioned she's not going to be here today, but like anyone to do the things, it's such a little amount of time. And I was like thinking, if you want to work a full 40-hour week, I'm like, that's 32 hours that you have like to do other stuff, to coach people if you want, all the things. So that is why today is so important. We're going to be talking about planning your time, and we're going to talk about making your business revolve around your life versus your life revolve around your business, which is what a lot of us do, especially when money's on the line. So we're going to first talk about the common problems that we see when we're trying to manage our time. And then you're going to talk about a scheduling solution. So there's just like 3 steps that we're going to use every week. And I've factored this scheduling solution into your 8 hours. So that is a part of it. And then we're going to talk about how to actually like make your weekly plan. And if you guys are on your computers, today for the coaching, if you need me to look at your calendars, if you want to share your Google Calendar with the group and we can re-swizzle things, feel free to do that. I just did that. I've been doing that a lot this week, and we can literally like make your calendar on this call. And then also, of course, like if you have any questions. So this is just something I wanted to add, is that like a lot of times people are say like Beyonce has the same 24 hours in a day that I do, or like that's like a phrase that I've heard before. And within that 24 hours, our circumstances are very different. We all have different circumstances that are in our lives, but I do want to make sure that you're using your time effectively when you have set aside time for work. So the 24-hour audit doesn't necessarily need to be 24 hours. However, we do want to think about, okay, how am I spending my time? And this is something that I started doing. And I set my alarm for like 5 minutes whenever I was in my like business set aside work hours. And I realized that like a lot of my time was not being spent well. So it's like I would finish a coaching call and I would get off the coaching call and I would be like, wow, okay, I've been looking at a screen for a while. Okay, I just got to get up. I got to do a little stretch. Jackson needs to go out. Let me go get some tea. Let me go and do this. And I was like, I looked back at my watch and I was like, 30 minutes had passed since I had gotten off a coaching call. And I was like, oh, that is a problem. I was like, this is time that I could have used for my business. Now we want to make sure that we are feeling balanced and rejuvenated and all that. We just want to factor that time in instead of saying that I'm going to work on my business right after a coaching call. Maybe we don't have the work on your business time right after a coaching call. We balance it out a little bit. Now, the thing that I want you guys to think about, if you are, and all of us are going towards like the 6 and multiple 6-figure range, you're eventually going to be hiring humans, which is exciting if that's something you want. Now, you do not have to hire people. It is not a part about 6-figure systems at all. However, if you are in that range, I did want to mention that the thing that most people have an issue with is hiring when they are trying to scale and grow their business. And when you want to think about the time, we're talking about trading time for money. And you're going to find that there are some activities that might take you quite some time, and it would be better if someone else could do it. So that's for me, I realized that posting during the day is taking a lot of my time. And that is why my first hire was someone to manage my social media. It was really important for me to feel like, okay, I've got my social person. I don't have to worry about my social posts if I don't want to during the week, and I can focus my energy on more of that outreach and writing like actual content versus actual posting. So to clarify, my social media person She posts for me, she makes the graphics for me, and those were things that were taking my time. And I just like, this time I could make so much more money if I just talk with humans. And that is just something you want to keep in mind for the future. So when you have a business, there, again, I'm attempting to make this like your unofficial business MBA, but there is no official training to be a solopreneur. There's nothing that's like, hey, it's like you decide to start a business. Here's exactly what you want to do every day. Here's the exact things that you do to scale your business. Again, that's what Six Figure Systems is. That's my goal, is that it becomes that. However, if you don't know what to do for a job, what's going to happen is you don't do the job well. So there are lots of things like in a typical 9 to 5 in a traditional career, you have the roles and responsibilities of what it means to fulfill that role, and the expectations are set. So it's like, I have these deadlines. I have these things already set. I've got the parameters of what my job title even looks like. There are people who have done it before and are training me, or I have formal training. None of that exists as an entrepreneur. None of that is existing. So, of course, when you are trying to be the CEO of your business, define every role and responsibility, and also have all these projects coming in, it can be really overwhelming. And that's why a lot of you guys might be waiting till deadlines to start a project. Or it's like, if you want to add something like a webinar, a podcast, an email list, any freebie, anything that you want to do, there's no one telling you, hey, you got to do it by then. It's up to you. So you are your own boss, which we're going to make a really good thing, but sometimes that can be really difficult. So we want to make sure that we're scheduling our time really well so that we can implement. Now, the other thing that happens is things get really confusing. So again, when I'm attempting to tell you the things that are like, have worked for me, have worked for my clients, and will work for you, but they're also like these huge projects that you might have, like, okay, I want to create all of the content for my webinar. And when you have that huge project, it's confusing for your brain. You don't know where to start. And then you have to mentally prioritize in the moment versus just sitting down, looking at the calendar, and getting into action. The other thing is like, again, this could work for you, but I see a lot of people that are writing to-do lists. And as a CEO, that's great. And we want to up level that. Clearly, you guys have gotten this far without maybe scheduling, and that's totally fine. But when you have a to-do list, that it can just get pushed every single week, especially because you could literally just be like, yeah, I just don't want to do that today. And it's like, if you don't have it scheduled, you can't move it and you can't really use your time well. The other thing I've seen is that like, not only might there be like just a to-do list and it's like, okay, which first, like what's going to be on the list? But if you are reprioritizing that list every single day, that is time that we do not need to spend. It's like, you guys have other lives, you've got jobs, maybe it's like you've got other shit going on. We don't want to be taking time to plan every single day. And we also don't want to get your brains overwhelmed. It's like, when you are sitting down for a task, it's like, okay, I've got this role and responsibility on, I'm just going to execute, versus being like, I have to switch all these titles within a day. So, and I know why we do this. A lot of the times what you've done in the past has worked, right? So it's like having an organized and productive list, like that might feel really good for you. And that might have worked in jobs in the past, right? So it's like, we always just do what has worked for us, but we're just going to up level to the next level of your business and get all these things written down and actually scheduled. Also, if you've got these huge things, your human brain is hardwired for negativity. And so we want to be working with your human brain instead of against your human brain as much as possible. The more ease we can bring to your workday, the better your brain will do. And the more routine we can bring into your workday, the less your human brain will fight back. The other thing is, a lot of times when we're starting projects, like especially like things like webinars or doing marketing, you don't have no idea how much time it's going to take you. You don't have it as a set routine. What you're going to be doing over the next 5 months that we're working together is really making sure you've got a routine, that you are ready, that you've got these projects scheduled, and we learn how much time things take. the reason why I would love for you guys to do a presentation like we talked about last week is not only for the experience and exposure of doing a presentation, but you can figure out your timing. You can figure out how long did it take to write each email. Again, you're starting from scratch, so it's going to be like you can repurpose and reuse those emails in the future. But it's like, then we've got an idea. Okay, it took me 4 hours to plan a webinar. Now I can schedule 4 hours for the next one, and hopefully it'll be 3 hours, and we'll just decrease the time it takes for you to do each project. And also the reason why we do this is if you put a huge project and you're like, I want to create a funnel. It's like, or it's like, I want to create a freebie. It's like, I want to do this before the year is out. If we put it on the to-do list, it'll get done. But we all know that it doesn't. So what we need to do is we need to be really, we need to work smarter, not harder. And we need to evaluate. We need to learn every single week what is working for you and what needs to change. Randomly on Instagram, this guy found me last year and he has a $20 million business. And it within the 2 years, like it is literally like his business exploded. He has 40 employees and we work together and we stopped working together, but he's awesome. And every single week when we met, he would talk me through what they were going to do, a plan. And then what would happen is the next week it would be completely different. Every single week it was totally different. Now we don't want to just throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't love the phrase, but for the, you get it. But within that, you want to understand what is working every week, and we want to know what could use improvement and needs to change. And we want to be doing that at a weekly rate. You also need to simplify. The thing I'm talking about, like how to make 6 figures in an 8-hour work week, is how to constrain and simplify everything that you're doing into the things that bring you the most return. And if you don't know what brings you the most return, you're going to do what I did, and it's going to be easy. And then also calendaring and having a weekly plan instead of a daily plan, and talking about the outcomes. What are my things that need to actually be done? What are the parameters, and making sure that we're getting that done. So as some of you guys are coaches, you might be familiar with Monday Hour One. If you've never heard of Monday Hour One, it's a way that I schedule things and make sure that everything I need to do is done for the week. Then we're also going to talk about how to break down results. It's the 5th piece of Monday Hour One, but if you're doing a different project, how to break down those pieces. And we're also going to talk about how to do Friday Hour Done, which is where you're reflecting every single week and making sure that you're growing and changing every single week. So we're going to talk about the annual plan later, but within Monday Hour One, we want to make your day easy. You're already like working with people, most of you guys are coaches. So if you're coaching people, that already takes some mental energy for you to show up and work with your humans. Again, whatever your service is, and we want to make sure that we are stacking your habits. We want to make sure that you're calendaring things in a way that feels like a routine. So it's just like brushing your teeth every morning. I get up and I talk to 10 people. It just makes it really easy. So like for me, I work out first right after I wake up every morning. So we can stack a habit of talking to humans or doing your marketing every single week at the same time. So your brain doesn't fight you as much anymore. And then we're also going to talk about how to build out your whole life. This will be coming in 2 weeks. We're going to talk about what you're doing every single month in planning your life out. And you don't have to have everything planned out. I might be doing a spontaneous trip to New York next month. But within that, you want to make sure that you're planning your business around if you've got big life things coming up. And I have on here renovations, and I knew that without even knowing, Nadia, that you were going through renovations. So all those fun things. And then there's going to be life stuff that comes up like that you won't have any idea that's coming up, but we want to make sure that we're getting down pat. Now, within your result, we want to be thinking about 5 categories: yourself, your relationships, your meetings, miscellaneous stuff, and results. So for yourself, you want to make sure that you're developing yourself. And for me, again, you guys know I'm a huge proponent of thought work, and I do it every day when I drive back from yoga. So it's just using talk to type. You don't have, and I only look at my phone when I'm at red lights, but I do make sure that I'm just getting my brain set so I'm ready to go, fresh, clean every single weekday. The other thing that you want to be doing is building your relationships. How much are you doing outreach? Are you making time to talk to those people? 30 minutes a day. We want to make sure that time is planned every single week. You've got that time. You also are going to have meetings. These are things that you can schedule and you can set and forget. Like the second that you do it, you want to put in your calendar and just make it reoccurring. And I'll show you how to do that. But then you don't have to worry about that pretty much until you get a client that might fill that spot. So the meetings, that would be coaching people. Miscellaneous, that would be like responding to emails. That I'm still working on creating a protocol around, but like that could be something that could be miscellaneous. And I'm actually going to change my tune on this. I like to do that towards the end of the day whenever I'm responding to emails, because you have only so much energy during the day, and this is like a low energy activity. This is a very high energy activity, higher energy, lower energy. This is also going to be a high energy activity, like creating results. Am I going to make presentations? Am I going to film this? Am I going to film that? These are things that are bigger tickets. And in order to create these results in your business, what we want to do, if we're adding something that is going to bring a return, what we need to do is we need to take the relationships and take maybe the marketing and those kind of things, and we need to make it even shorter those weeks, or you need to make sure you're batching ahead of time. Oh, amazing. And of course I will come visit you. Excellent. Okay. So within what we're thinking about the results, if you want to break down your results, and this is an old calendar, for my calendar, it's like, I know I've got clients that are on my current calendar and their names are like kind of confidential. It's like, I really share a lot about people nowadays. However, I did block out names, and everyone who is on this call, this is a private recording. So if you want to share your screen and have your calendar, no one will share any information about who you're working with or anything like that, just so you guys are brought into that confidentiality. But if I was thinking about doing a webinar, it's like, instead of doing the whole webinar, which I do sometimes in one day, still learning and growing right alongside you guys. But if I were to try and do that all in one day, my brain would be like, ma'am. And I've tried, and every time it just makes it so much easier to be like, okay, I'm going to do the outline between this time, I'm going to do the slides this time, and I'm going to do the marketing at this time, and separating those out. And here's why. As you do each of those tasks, it's like you, again, as a solopreneur, you have every role of every employee in your whole business. The outline might be a role of a marketing manager. The slides would be the graphic designer, and the marketing would be the content creator or the copywriter. Those are 3 different roles in typical businesses. As solopreneurs, we do all the things, and it can be done. But if you can get your brain in one role and responsibility and break it out like that, at least you don't have to change your thoughts. Like, okay, now I'm going from being the marketing manager to, oh, I'm being graphic designer, and oh, I'm going to be the copywriter. You can at least be like, okay, I'm going to switch to this mindset and do that really quickly. And for me, it does help to think about like each of those things as a different role. So I know it looks like a lot, but what I do is I put on my calendar my life as well. So like this is back in February of 2 years ago. So it's just the only one that I have with all the blockouts. But within that, I knew I had to be the graphic designer at this point on a Sunday. Don't typically work on the weekends, but I did this weekend because it was just a jam-packed week. And then I switched from being the graphic designer for the presentation to being the graphic designer for my posts. And it was like I took the graphic designing and I switched those things around. Then I also want to make sure I was evaluating my consults. So I did that really quickly, and I did 30 minutes per consult. Then I got ready. I had a Valentine's Day gala that I went to, and I put that on my calendar too. So you guys might be like, oh, this looks crazy. I'm like, this is like me curling my hair. I'm like, it's not something that I was actually doing that was related to my business. And the reason why I calendar everything is because your girl has ADHD, as I've mentioned it previously, and I would forget. I'd be like, it would just, if I don't put it on my calendar, it is gone. It's gone forever. It's like, oh, that would be nice. Actually, I was thinking of you guys, because I said I would share something. I think I said I was going to share a presentation with you guys. And like the six-figure systems one from the last round wasn't on the calendar. So guess who forgot it? This girl. So I'm getting better, but like this is just how my brain works. You don't have to calendar this much. So for my calendar, I even like I wanted to call my grandmother and talk to her for her birthday. So I did that. All of this is on my calendar. So the pink is the life stuff. Then I have, and actually Saturday was cut off, so I really should remake this presentation eventually, and it will go on the list. But then I also like had thought work in the morning. So this is where I like take care of myself. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do every morning. And at that time I was doing CrossFit. That was a little earlier than the yoga I do. I also made sure that I put lunch in there. I think I've mentioned this to you guys. Like I actually ate lunch with that person, but if I don't put lunch on my calendar, I will not eat. And recently, because I've taken on more one-on-one clients, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I really need to make sure I finish this call, or I've got like a protein shake at the ready, because if I don't, I will not eat. Then in the yellow, I have some of the things I was learning or I was like actively doing. So it's like prepping for the consult. And that's where I was stepping into that CEO mindset and doing my eval. And then did the actual consult call, coach somebody, and then I did the eval afterwards. Prep for consult. I had a follow-up call, another consult call, and then I made sure I evaluated it at some point. That was also on here somewhere. The red is consults. Oh, the evals I put in green. For some reason, I put in yellow there. I needed to get myself into the Life Coach School database that week. So that was important. Pick up medication though, like all this random stuff, return my clothes, like all those things were things I put on my calendar. And that's just what works for my brain. If that doesn't work for your brain, that's totally fine. However, if we're talking about creating an 8-hour work week, here are the things that I want on your calendar. Outreach every day. I want you to do an outreach every day. Thought work is optional, but I think it's helpful every day. The other thing that I really want on your calendar is time to actually get the post out there. Now, at this time, again, this is 2 years ago, I think I scheduled out these posts, but I was posting whenever I could, and it wasn't as consistent. The issue when we're thinking about scaling to 6 and multiple 6 figures is you want to be consistent and you want to constrain. If you can market and do that consistently 3 times a week, or those 6 real post things a week, and if you can do outreach every single week, those are really the 2 biggest returns on investment that you can possibly do. I want you prioritizing that and making sure that's done. The other stuff is amazing and optional. That is when you want to make the presentation, those results. These are things that we want to do to build your business, but they do not need to be on there every single week. We want to cut your time down and make that work. The way that I would love for your schedules to look is have 30 minutes in the morning for outreach and then 30 minutes in the evening for follow-ups. That could also, Mikkel, be emails. So that would be your 5 hours of your week. And now 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, that's 2.5 hours each chunk. That's 5 of the hours. Then I would love for it to be on there is if you could do, yes, outreach and post are the top 2 priorities. Then for the other, that's 5 hours just with outreach. Because again, those one-on-one conversations are what build your business. And literally like all these 8-figure earners, that's all they're talking about now, by the way, is talking to people one-on-one, which before it was like, you don't want to talk to people, you don't want to slide into their DMs, that's weird. It's like the tune is changing for everybody. So I'm really set on that. And then the other thing that you want to do is you want to be doing the marketing. Now, if you can get your marketing down and batch in 6 hours, technically you could even schedule those out in 6 hours every month. We talked about that would be batching the reels, that would be 3 hours, and writing the copy every week and scheduling it out for a month, for an hour. So 5 hours for talking to people, 1 hour to an hour and a half for the marketing. And then the other part is going to be for planning, making sure that you're actually doing Monday hour 1 and getting the stuff on your calendar and evaluating every week. So those are the 3 things: networking or outreach, marketing, planning. If you can do those 3 things, and then also when sales come in, making that really efficient, making sure you know exactly what on the pre-consult, post-consult, and now you guys have all of those templates. So like literally, I just did a consult right before this. I was telling Nadia, and I had sent her follow-up email, and it took me 5 minutes to send me that, to just like get it scheduled, get it done. We want to make that really, really efficient. That's what I want to do for you guys. Moving forward to what are you going to be doing in your evaluation? You guys are in this group. So you are going to be evaluating every single week. When we're talking, you have that 10 minutes, this is literally like I talk, and also like you're going to get those consults down so that like you can do the consult evaluation and you can do it faster and faster and faster every single time. I would say the first 10 you want to take more time after, but like we're going to get faster every time. And it takes me about like 5 to 10 minutes per consult to evaluate it now. So when we're thinking about evaluating your week, you want to think about starting with wins. What are 5 things that I did? What is working? What could use improvement? And what will I do differently? In the future, just so you guys are ready, the reason why I said it's great that you guys are in this group is I believe next week we're going to talk about how to track all these things. And that is going to become a part of your weekly eval. But that's why it's a part of like, I give you a full hour to do like your eval tracking and planning for the next week. It says Monday hour 1, but it doesn't have to be an hour. But you guys are doing awesome. I am just why? What happened here? Why is this? Did you guys see that? How I was like, okay, anyways, it was looking weird on the screen. But you guys are making the world an amazing place. Looking at your copy and the things that you guys are putting out into the world, I'm like, damn, these are 6-figure coaches. I'm so excited to be working with you. And I just want to make your lives so much easier because I know the work that you're doing is so freaking good in the world. So yeah, exactly. So if you guys want to come back to the classroom, and we're going to talk through the first time that you do this, Monday hour 1, you're only going to need to really do this once. So once you do this, it is done forever. Now I have things in here for things that you can do, and I actually wrote it up. It's 3 hours to batch a month, weekly, and then just 10 minutes to post and repost if you actually are posting. So all that is in here. We want to take this document and we want to go to your drive. We want to make sure it's organized. So go into your folder for 6-figure systems. Create a folder for planning. That will be 7 planning. And you're going to move this bad boy here. Ignore all the things that I have in there. We'll discuss them at later times. And that's going to be in here. So I'm going to take a moment to explain this. The self-care, talked about what are the things that make you function so well. Yoga for me is like every time I do yoga, I feel so much better. Self-coaching makes me feel so much better. But because you are essentially like the CEO and also like 10 different employees, we want to make sure you feel good and that you're not burning out and dying, because that would not be good. So we want to make sure you're taking care of yourself first. And then also making sure that you have like relationships that could be romantic relationship, friends and family. All of that is scheduled first. I want you to put those things first so that you're not putting your business above your life. Then the appointments that you need to keep, we want to start tracking them. We want to be like, okay, I coach this person every time, every week. We want to make that just like all that you guys probably already do, but those are things that you want to add in here. This would also be 6-figure systems. So scheduling that out, putting it on your calendar. And then when we're thinking about CEO scheduling, that means these ROI activities. So that's, and when I say ROI, that means return on investment activities. So networking, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, marketing, planning. And then these are the optional extras. So we're going to do like the planning for presentations. If you want to do a weekly email, you can. Content for our Facebook group. These are things that you can add in, but you don't need to. And then again, just to get to 6 figures, most people do not have any of this. And a lot of them are now working with me, even at the multiple 6-figure level, because their business is a bit of a mess. And it's like, okay, we need to clean this shit up. But you guys are coming in with an edge. You have all this stuff, and I want you to use it for you instead of against you. So literally, if you just do these things, and for really, if you are just delivering to your clients, if you're marketing, if you're selling, bringing in leads and planning, that's really the basics of building a 6-figure business. Everything else, doing a webinar, all these other things that you're about to learn, all this other stuff, this is optional and added. And so I want you to know that if you can schedule that stuff out, you're good. And I even have things like laundry, which I struggle with, but we'll get better, and cleaning and anything for personal. All of that is here. And I put it on my calendar. So like if I need to buy a birthday present for my friend's baby shower, I'm like, that's on my calendar. And I want you guys to think about your calendar too. So if you want to put out, this is totally up to you. If you want to put it all out here so you can see each day, that is totally fine. I would love for you, in any event, I would love for you to create a document with your availability at the very least for future clients. And I'm pretty sure I've shown this all to you, and I will put this in the notes. But the only reason you might need to see this laid out like this is to do availability for consults and be like, okay, if you want to work with me one-on-one, here's a time, here's a time, here's a time, here's a time, here's a time. So anyone who does a consult with me, they know that these are physically the only times I have. And whenever people are completing, then I can be like, okay, this person is completed. I unstrike it out and I make it green for them. So that's the only reason you would actually need to like see it all out like this. What I would recommend highly is putting all this on your Google Calendar and being like, okay, and the Track B coaching slot is already, that's when my group is starting next week, but like just having all these things out. This is what it looks like this week's. And then like literally, so like I met with, fun fact, I might be starting Facebook ads soon, which is like terrifying and exciting. But I met with this girl, and as she was saying stuff, she was like, send Google Analytics. And I literally just like put in here as we were talking, I was literally like, send analytics. And I was like, oh, wow, that is not how you spell analytics at all. But it was literally just like, anytime someone tells me something that I need to think of, I'm like, oh, I will need to forget this. And even after my week is already planned, I'll just add them throughout. Now, if someone wants to book a consult, again, it wouldn't be at 7 or 8, but if someone wants to book a consult, what you want to do in your Google Calendar is you want to change it to free. So you want to change it here and you want to schedule it. So that way, if people try and book a consult, they can see if it's free or busy. You can see this one is busy. Free consult work I still have on here. My emails are something I added, so I just made sure I scheduled that. And if you want to do something every week, you go into here. And if you're like, okay, I want to do outreach every Wednesday, I need to follow up with all these people from 8 to 8:30. That's going to be my 30-minute time period. And I want to say that I want to do it weekly on Wednesday. I could put that in here and it would show up. If you want to do it every weekday, you could do that. You could make your time and you could decide. For me, I like to switch it to free because people could book calls and I can just move around the outreach stuff. And then it would just show up forever. Going back to here. Oh, I'm so glad. Yes. Amazing. So then going back to the planning. Sorry, I don't know why I can't move this chat over to here. And I've now figured out how to do a standing desk. So if you guys see me like literally like just like I didn't realize how crazy that probably looked. And I need to get someone to raise this, but that's fine. The other thing is the weekly eval. This is a lengthy weekly eval. The first time you do this, it might look a little crazy, but it really, like you can get this done in like 15 minutes if you wanted to. So again, you want to come back to make sure you add it to your Google Drive and you want to put it in that number 7 planning. So the weekly eval, this is something I found to be really helpful, is always keeping in mind my annual goal, being like, okay, this is my goal. This is what I want. Let's do it. The other thing is like thinking about my monthly goal and being like, okay, what is my goal for the month? If I know how much I want to make this year, how much would I need to make this month to make that happen? And my monthly total so far, how much money have I made in each month? Next week, we're going to talk about a really jazzy rainbow spreadsheet that has like all of my numbers for each of the ROI generating activities. If you want to go ham like me and get a lot of data, which I think is fun. And then we've got posts and offers made, networking with people I know, outreach to new humans, consults created, clients created, money created, 5, and that's for the results. It's like, okay, so this is the results. These are the wins. And these are the things that I actually created this past week. Then we do wins of the week. What are 5 wins? Why? How on earth did I do this? Can I do more of this if it was going really well? And then is there anything that I planned on creating this week that I need to shift to next week because I messed up and I totally didn't get this done? Totally fine. And then are there any mental blocks that I can work on for next week that I can do thought work on? Were there any circumstances that happened that I need to like plan out and have a plan to overcome next time? Like, so if it seems like I'm trying to think of like an example of this and totally just blanked. I had one. It'd be like, okay, maybe it's like after every coaching call, I need to make like 5 to 10 minutes for me to like step away from my screen and come back. I could make a plan for that and change that in my calendaring for the next week. And then what are something new I would really like to create? I changed this a lot, Andrea and Maria from last round and anyone else and Demetria, because I think this sounds nicer. It's like, what would be fun to create next week? Like, I'm creating this business. I'm a badass in the world. What would be really cool if I could do this for next week? Is there anything else that's a protocol I need to put in place to support myself? And what is my future self thinking to get me where I need to go? So that is that. And then there's the 24-hour audit optional. Like if you guys want to do it, I just had it on the slide. So I want to show like, if you want to map it out, you can, but you don't need to. And that's why I have it as like, if you wanted to do that, you can, but it's just there. All right. Bring your question. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to show you guys is like, I literally like for the weekly evals, like Monday hour 1, I literally just look at my schedule. So if I were to do Monday hour 1 today for next week, I would be like, okay, I need to move Holly because I'm doing a podcast for next week. Oh, I'm going to the Hurricanes game. So I need to move my call. Well, my brother will be there for the game. So I'm just going to delete the call with my little brother. I added LinkedIn outreach. So that's something that's new that I'm doing. And that is something that I made an actual 30-minute block for. Posting group work I've got on there. But Monday hour one, I'm like, oh, I can't do my Thoughtful Thursday email on Mondays. I'm going to need to move this bad boy to Wednesdays. So every Wednesday this works. I have it on here twice, which is exciting. My LinkedIn engagement, it's over Irma's time. Again, this is confidential, so don't go tell them. If you know any of these people, don't go telling humans, but I don't think you do know any of these people. But just so you know, and then right now the posts uploaded, that's just me. Post uploaded is just me reposting it to my story. And I have it there for 30 minutes because 15 minutes just kind of looked crazy. LinkedIn outreach and regular outreach I'm doing together, and Monday hour one, Friday hour done. I need to figure out a new block for this. So I'm just going to move this up and move this down. But do you guys see how easy that is? This is why I'm like, Google Calendar is the bee's knees. And you can, and I have like this whole thing, if you guys do Acuity that's coming out, like on how to do Acuity, but you can integrate it with your Google, whatchamacallit, what is this called? A calendar. Thank you. You can integrate your Acuity calendar to your Google Calendar. And again, if you do like if you change it, like all this outreach is free. So if you, so that won't show up and it won't stop people from booking consults with you. So, and then I do the weekly evals just so you guys can see. I have them here. And the rainbow thing I told you we're going to come to next week, but I do it every week. Just so I'm like keeping myself on track. So again, this one you only do once. It's a one and done, set, forget, and take like maybe, it's really like 15 minutes. The emphasis I want to put for you guys is on eval. But yeah, literally, like, how cool is that? An 8-hour work week. I'm like, I don't know anybody else who's talking about that, but that made me very excited. I literally figured it out last week and I was like, this is awesome. I'm very excited for you guys. And that's at the max. Like if you want to take out outreach every once in a while, you totally can. And you can move it all around. I don't do outreach perfectly every month. I don't post perfectly at the same time every day. It's what I'm aiming for. And you don't need to do that to hit 6 figures either. Most people don't. But it's just like, we're up leveling you. Okay, who would like some coaching? Or just wants me to look at their calendar? Ooh, Nadia. Like, okay, having it free. Which one do you only do once? The Monday hour one. It's like once you do that, unless you're like, oh, I need to make a webinar. Like, okay, so it's like I need to make a webinar. It's like I need to be like, okay, or it's like do script for webinar, make slides for webinar. And I have this create reels for next week. This is just, so I'm in a launch. And so it's like, this is more so for my post for the launch because it's kind of a mess. And like new coaching posse thing. I need to figure that out. So this is what it looks like. Any questions? Oh, and I actually, because I was thinking about what we talked about at the very beginning, why I start you guys with your future self. I was thinking about like creating the kind of group and movement I want. And I have aspirations to fill the next group with 35 humans. I was like, oh my God, I can't do 35 consults in a week. I was like, oh God, like that would be a lot. So I was like, I'm going to make the consult shorter and I'm going to give people the option to just buy for the 5K for the next round. All right. Come on, you guys. I'm sure you guys have questions and things like that.
Okay. Hey, I'll talk.
Let's do it.
I feel bad because I'm always the one that talks, but
Do not feel bad. I'm like, and everyone knows that, like, please speak up if you're ready. But I want to hear what you have. And give me a win.
no, start with the win. Well, I wrote it on my form for you, but this week, Sunday, between Sunday and Monday, was the first week I created, wrote the captions and scheduled all my content for the week, and then I don't need to think about it again, like, which is huge
Isn't
for me.
that amazing? Oh my God, I'm so excited for you.
Because normally I'm like, I do it the other way. So I'll do one whole post. Like I like what you were saying about, the batching of this certain type of thing. Because I would be like, create a post, write the caption, create the reel, post the reel, and that would be like a day's work. Then I
Yes.
don't have that time all day, every day to do it.
Nope.
So yeah, I did it. I'd already done the month's plan. That was at a separate time. Then
Uh-huh.
I did the captions, and then I did the creation at a different time and got it all posted. So I was delighted.
I want to cry. I'm so excited. I'm like, 'cause that's the thing. It's like, how long did it, now that you're thinking about like the different hats, I'm like, how long do you think it'll take you for next week?
Well, yeah, now I think it'll be, I just need to I liked planning just all the captions. And then, so on Sunday I did all the captions. And then
Yes.
on Monday I did the creating and then the scheduling all in a kind of 2 hour block, but I did it all together. I did all the creating and then I did all the scheduling after. So no, it's good. So 3 hours. Because you said 1.5. I was like, I'm never going to do it in 1.5 yet.
But
Like,
look at how close you were. Look at
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's just
So
gonna
no,
keep.
I'm delighted.
I'm delighted too. I'm like, and also, I mean, like, how many times have you tried that? Like twice? I'm like, you were absolutely going to get that time down. And when you think about if you do like talk to type for the captions, it's just going to get so much faster and then you get so much
Yeah,
more done. So I'm
yeah.
thrilled. Tell me what you want some coaching on.
Well, no, it was just questions about
Mhm.
like Monday or one. I know it, right? I've done it with
Right.
Brooke and things like that. But what I find, and looking at your calendar, I'm like, whoa, right? And it kind of what puts me off of Monday or one is having it and I get the point of
Mhm.
having everything from your life, right? I totally get it because then you don't forget anything, like everything's done. But whenever I try to do it, because it's so scheduled, as soon as I miss a bit of it, I just give that in and then don't. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like I know it's like I know it's to benefit me,
Mhm.
but when it seems so like every moment of my life is scheduled, like I just feel like I can't stick. It's just not in my head. I think the thought is like it's just not sustainable to live a life where you're like it's just constantly scheduled. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I am not spelling sustainable, but that totally makes sense. If you're so I would like to just like show you an alternative thought, and then also I want to talk to you about changing the circumstance. So like that's always what we're doing is like we either want to switch the mindset or we want to switch the strategy. So I want to just like soften the mindset of this isn't sustainable, and then I want to talk to you about how we can like maybe strategically work around the mindset as you
Okay.
shift the mindset. So if you go to calendar and you're thinking this isn't sustainable, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys might be looking at that and you're like, oh, this isn't sustainable. So I'm glad that you brought this because I'm sure other people are feeling this way.
Yeah.
I want
Or
you to
maybe
think
it's that it's just too much. I think that's what it is. It's just too much. Like when it's all within an inch of its life scheduled,
about,
I'm like, I can't live like that. Yeah.
yes, and like even if this is a thought, like I know that there's you might be having a thought about calendaring or just anything else in your business. So it's important for us to like soften this thought and then for everybody and for you especially, and then we can go into like switching it too. So when you're feeling like it or when you think it's too much, how does that feel?
It just feels overwhelming.
Mhm. So what do you do when you think it's too much and you feel overwhelmed?
Well, I mean, I do so like I sometimes like think, no, I'm gonna do it. Like, so I do sometimes schedule it.
Hmm.
And I
And then
might at the beginning of the week like follow it, but then eventually it falls by the wayside. Like I've never completed a full week of a full planned schedule.
mhm.
But so what I've started doing is just only scheduling a couple. Like I feel like that feels easier to me. Just
Huh?
like not because I think when I see the whole calendar, it's like as I say, it's like feels too much. So I'm trying to just schedule just smaller things or less.
Mhm. Which I don't think is a bad thing. I just don't want it to come from the thought it's too much. Like I actually like this if this works for you. And I also just don't want it to come from the thought of it's too much and when you feel overwhelmed. Like I want you to be feel empowered and have the thought like this is what works for me. That's just like a little shift. Now I want you to think about like what you're not doing when you're feeling overwhelmed and you're thinking it's too much.
I'm
It's
not following it.
yeah, well, it's
Oh,
like so and the thing I wanted to touch on is like never completing the full schedule. And
yeah,
I think that your brain has the misconception, which I want to, again, I'm so glad you brought this up, that you had like Monday hour one means scheduling and following the exact thing that you plan.
yeah,
And maybe that is what Brooke says, but that's not how I use Monday hour one. In fact,
yeah,
so it's like within this, it's like I actually use Monday hour one. And when I do Monday hour one, I plan out the week. And just like you saw, I'm like, nothing actually works as planned. I figured I need to get my car figured out. So I'm like, oh, I need to reach out to everyone that signed up for this webinar. There were other things that came up that I added to the calendar, but I'm never like, oh, I never followed my Monday. I've never, if we're going on that mindset, I have never followed my calendar or I've never Monday hour one it perfectly. I've never been able to ever figure it out perfectly. That's not the point of it. But it's like your brain,
yeah,
like, oh, if I don't follow it, it's bad, so I need to throw it all out. So it's like I
yeah. That's
going
what
back into my
happens.
thinking. Mm-hmm.
But that's the way it's taught at LCS, right? It's like you
Yeah.
have to stick to it, or it's you know what I mean? Like it's like you can't move it or whatever. And
Totally.
then as soon as I miss a little bit, then I'm like, well, that's it done for the
Yeah,
week.
but yeah. So to make it work, or it's like under my ability to get it to see that it's not too much. Though it's like funny. I was like any other LCS coaches too much. I was like, it's kind of like a double negative, but here we are. But yeah, I've never done Monday hour one. I guess like the life coach school teaches it. So fun fact, everybody, if you are LCS or a life coach school person, not doing it right, but it works for me. So it's like we want to do what works for you, which is coming to like the switching the strategy and switching your mindset.
Mhm.
I didn't even realize it's not how you do it, but I move stuff around every like it's like and not every day. I still switch it around every week, but this kind of like structure isn't set in stone every week. I change it at the beginning of the week, and if anything else comes in that's crazy, I include time. So like this Coach B coaching slot, like that's gonna have people in it in a minute, but I have time after Katie, I've got time after Jackie, I've got time throughout the week that I have as like empty slots because I know my week last week looks like this and now it looks like this. So it's like
Mhm.
I add stuff as I need to, but I think the reason why I had maybe access to that thought is because I was like, instead of thinking it's too much, I was like, I'm gonna make this work for me. I'm gonna figure this
Yeah.
out and make it work for me. So what would be like a more empowering thought? Like, and the purpose of calendaring for everybody is just to get stuff done. So it's like we want to just like make sure that we're getting things done and we want to be consistent and we want to constrain, right?
Yeah.
To the things that work. So maybe it is Monday hour one, maybe it's not Monday hour one, but if our goal is to be getting things done in a consistent and constrained manner,
Mhm.
what would you need to think instead of it's too much? Especially because you're also like working with this your other business and you've got all these other things going on, that thought would be very easy to access. But you are such a badass, you're totally going to get it all done. What would you need to think instead of it's too much?
Um, what when I think of my calendar? Then my brain's arguing, like, because when I see that calendar that you have, I'm like, that looks awful.
But so like, which
Do
is
you know what I mean? So I'm like,
horrifying.
no, I can't just say, I'll get it done. Like, I just, I
Then
don't,
we create a new system. Then
yeah.
this is like where
Yeah,
you
like
adopt,
I
abandon.
like that better. Like I think I like that better more that it's like I'm gonna make this work for me.
Yes. Do you see how much more empowered I'm going to make it work for me? How does that feel?
Yeah, that feels better. Because I think before
You're
it's
like
like there's a right
empowered.
way, as in like right way to do it, Monday hour, and if you don't do it exact, then this is the problem.
Uh-huh. Knowing there's no right way to do anything. It's
Yeah.
just the way you choose to make right, which could be, but I want you to think about like when we're wanting to, our goal is to get things done and be consistent. I don't want you to be like, oh, it's too much. It's overwhelming. I want every time that you're like, I'm going to get things done. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to be constrained and I'm going to make it work for me. What emotion other than overwhelm does that derive for you?
When I think I'm gonna get it done,
I'm going to make it work for me.
I'm gonna make it work for me. Yeah, that's more like empowered.
Yes. And so I want everybody to be scheduling from an emotion that fuels you. For me, it's focused, determined, dedicated, driven. Like those are the emotions that I'm like every day. I'm like, and like, especially like after what we talked about last week, which if I'm so sorry I didn't record, I'm so glad we're recording today. But one of the things that my friend Janae said is she was like, it is your social duty, like you are socially responsible to give back to people who have not had the same opportunities as you have. And it is your job to sign people and make their business better. It's not
Mhm.
about you. Put yourself aside, but like, let's fucking go. And I'm like, okay. Literally, I was like, I will figure out a way to make this work. I know it seems crazy, but it's not about me, it's about them. So, like, that empowered mindset is how I want you going in to get things done. Now, calendaring and planning is how I get things done. Let's and using Monday hour one in a way that apparently I've modified for me. So what if this is your Monday hour one? What is this? It's like this is how I plan as a six-figure CEO. This is what I do.
Mhm.
I do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I like to just block out the priorities because I feel like everything else I'll get done. But
Mhm.
what I really need to calendar is the things I avoid doing. The things that I'm like, that if left to it, like, oh look, I didn't do any of that today. Right. So it's
Mhm.
like I just need to calendar the key elements, if that makes sense, of like what we're talking about, like the outreach, like the content creation. These are things I need to have on the calendar and then work towards just doing them no matter what.
Perfect. And the only other thing I would add is like I was mentioning about the availability, just know when your slots are. And if
Hmm.
you're like someone, I was talking with someone and they physically have like, and there might be some like mindset, but she has like 12 hours to work on her business. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, if we wouldn't have the number of clients you do, it's just math. And I'm like, okay, so we need to figure out, okay, either we need to take less clients or we need to be utilizing this time really well. And for her, I was saying anytime that you don't have a client, I want you to be using that spot for business related activities. So, and then when a client comes in, you'll have to move it. But I have a ton of slots and I don't have that many clients. So it's like in the spots that the blank spots are, the availability, I'm not taking on any more one-on-one clients before the end of the year unless someone drops. And that's my time for the things that you need to block out. That's my outreach time. So I'm still staying within the 9 to 5 that I've given myself, but I'm using the time that I would either have a client, like I'm trading the time for another business revenue generating activity. Did that make sense? I feel
Okay.
like I explained that in a weird way.
So are you saying like, see, when you create out your availability for client calls,
Mhm.
is that just all the time that you have for your business?
It's kind of, it's like I wanted to work. So I guess, yeah. So it's like 9 to 5 every day. The thing is for Tuesdays, I have you guys, and then my next group's gonna be from 1 to 3. So, and then I'm just like, I'm gonna be fucking tired. I could just have a feeling after coaching 2 groups and maybe a one-on-one in the morning. I've never done it before, so I'm not opening up that 4 o'clock time slot. But every other day, I've got that like these are the times that I have. And
Okay.
so what I'm saying is like for that 9 to 5 situation, I made sure I knew I only wanted to coach 15 people. So I was like, this is the max for sure for me. I actually got coached a lot just to add 5 more. But during that other time, it's like, actually, this would be fun to do. I was like, if I have 15 one-on-one clients and I have 2 groups for 4 hours, that would be 19 hours of coaching. And then that gives me 21 hours for the other stuff if I want. So including in that 21 hours, this is when I have my 200K call. I get coached. You could include thought work in there, eating. But all of that is within my week too.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. I think I need to figure out exactly what my hours are, like my total
Yeah.
hours, and then have it set that way.
That's what this sheet is for. So let's how many hours? This is actually Christina Langdon is just like this amazing human. I just love her so much. She's one of my good friends. And she was like, she was like, this is literally what I decided. She was like, how many clients do you want? And I was like, I want 15. And she's like, let's make 15 clients. And she was like, you don't have to do 20. You have to do more. Let's just make the math better. And she's like, raise your price to 12K. And I was like, all right. So I did that. And then she was like, then let's do groups. She was like, let's make a day for groups. She was like, what would that, and this is another way you guys can think about it, is like, what would I want my week to actually look like? What would it look like for me to be working with all these humans? How would I feel then? And then building your schedule around that. So you could go in the physical feasible time, which is one option. And the other option is to go with like, what do I want my life to look like? Let's just decide and go, you know?
Yeah. But then, so sorry, one more question, right? So, say for
Yeah.
example, I plan out, right, I've got 10 spaces for client calls, right?
Yeah.
But then if I have that on the calendar, then I've got no space to actually plan for all the stuff that I'm going to do while I don't have them. Does that make sense?
Exactly. So then it's like, okay, so that's where you put it as like I actually worked with a client yesterday and she's like, it's called like client one. She was like, she had put these actual calls on the calendar and then she made it free. And then she was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is an opportunity for me to coach one of these people." And then she doubled it up and was like, okay, I don't know why post upload is an hour. I think I messed it up last week, but like, okay, I'm going to move posts and LinkedIn engagement during this time.
Ah, that's good. Yeah, I like
You see what I'm
that.
saying? And so it's overlapping. So you can see this is what I'm going to be doing when this client comes. I'm going to move this here and move this here.
Okay.
So you could just map out all the times that you want your clients to be.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
do
like
that
that.
because like now that I've got a fully booked schedule, that's a great strategy if you guys want to do that. Because now these people, the next newest client, I think finishes January 23rd. And we'll talk about how to know that. That's what, again, you do. This is an optional system, but for me, it really helped. But that's what we'll talk about with the monthly checklist and projections probably. Yeah, it's in projections. So we'll talk about how to like know when people are ending so you can open up some spots, but all my people are there, so it's like I know that I'm going to coach these humans through those time at least through January.
Yeah, okay, great. No, that's helpful. Thank you so much.
Of course. I feel like that was helpful for everybody. I really do.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, technical boring questions. Armani, bring it. Mikkel, bring in the overwhelm right after. I got you. What is your technical question, Harmony.
Well, it's just like I have to synchronize everything because I have currently a ridiculous system which works so far. I call it Sunday hour last. I do it every Sunday when I put the kids in bed or if I don't have them. But it's a ridiculous system because it's my Outlook for my full-time job, my iCalendar for my personal life, and then I put everything on a Word document. And I've been thinking, okay, I have to like merge everything at some point. And now I just have to figure out how to do it, or I want to figure it out. So I'm just lost in technical things about how to do all of that, go back to my Gmail and stuff, which I haven't been using for years. So actually, I'm just going to figure it out.
Okay.
I've been wanting to do it for a few. And also I've been seeing that my clients have the same issues, because when I started, I was like, the calendar doesn't matter. So I just found that way to do it with Word document for me that works, and actually print that document I have on me every day, which is ridiculous, but it works for me. And I think I need to up level it a bit and do something a little bit more sophisticated that would look like this, to have everything on one place, because so far I have 3 different places. So that's just what I want to work on. And
there is a calendar that you can have all 3 places. There's a way, there's like a thing, I've seen it before, but for anyone who's working full time, I had teaching blocked out. So I was like, I just was teaching during the day, and I like also included like I was covering dismissal, I had lunch coverage. It was a bit of a mess. And then I had my clients at night. So you guys can see it was like, and then I had the podcast and like things like that at night. So you could totally do that.
Oh yeah, this is what I'm doing already. And actually I'm coaching on my full-time job hours, because it's just, it's up to me to produce my results in my full-time job. They don't have to go into my calendar. So I organize that, but I have them on 3 different calendars. So I want to merge everything or simplify it. So I just have to take some time and work on this.
And then once you do, like you can add, I was like,
I'm very unfamiliar with Gmail calendar, so that's why I have to like just take some time.
Yeah, but I would say it's worth doing, especially because like your goal is to get how many more people by the end of the year? Remind me. It's like, let's bring.
Oh yeah, I do it the European way. You do it the American.
Ooh, okay. I was like, I didn't know that. That's so fun. I was like, especially with my thumb, that actually helps. But it's like, so we get these 3 people in, we got this. It's like, let's create, what times do you have available for them? Let's book the consults for that same time. And I was thinking about this, like, one of my clients, she's doing a webinar at a certain, she's already doing this webinar that people are coming to at 4:00 on Tuesdays. And I'm like, why don't you just make the group 4:00 on Tuesdays? She's like, perfect. And I was like, because they set that time aside once, they could do it again. So same for consults. If they're setting that time aside once, they could probably coach with you at that time too. So that's why it's a good thing to have that availability. But also really quick, one win, and then we'll move to Mikkel.
Wins. I don't even remember what I put in my wins this week.
You can go with something fresh, something fun.
Something fun.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's a big win. I just took the time this weekend to not do anything, relax and enjoy it, and not feeling guilty about it. Just like, hey, it is okay to not working on the next thing to create a new client. Just relax sometimes.
And even just like being in that energy, you're going to be so well recharged for when like coming back to work. It's like, that is what we want to plan into. So beautiful. Let me know if you need any help. I have a client that just told me that they integrated their calendars. There is like, it's an app that makes it like whatever your other calendar, your iCalendar or whatever calendar, it makes it like a different physical calendar in your Gmail. And that's how she did it. So I think that could hopefully be helpful for you to research it. Let us know in the, and then, I think you got this. You're doing great. Mikkel, start off with a win. Tell us what's going on, and then let's coach.
Okay. So I've kind of a fun win. Well, I don't know. I feel like I can't totally count it as a win yet. I haven't sold any of clients into one-on-one spots, but I actually might have something better. So, I was really working on like, because I was wanting to manifest like $20,000, and one of my clients emailed me and was basically like, I'm really interested in having you train me as a coach, and I want to pay you what I would pay LCS. I was like, what?
Oh my God, I have goosebumps.
So we're still like, I'm kind of formulating what I would do to train her, and we're talking about it, and it's not like said and done, but I feel really good about it. And I'm like, that would be like really cool. So, and then I would have a coach that would be really comfortable with having work underneath me too. So
Oh my God, I've got goosebumps all over. I'm like, this is insane.
I know I
love
was,
it.
oh my gosh, this would be like, especially just with my time situation that right now, like my nanny just quit. And so I'm like, I have, like even less hours. And so I'm like, being able to make the same amount of money in less time would be so good. So,
Yes.
yeah. So that was
Love
like
that.
a little miracle win. Well, my brain's learned to discount it, but I'm just like gonna believe that it's like done and it's happening.
That's how it works.
And okay, so the thing I wanted to get coached on
Mhm,
is I'm trying to be better about planning, because I
mhm.
have a really hard time with it. But how's that for a thought? I have a hard time with planning.
Love
But
it.
I'm wanting to kind of think about like what to do for no, don't touch. Sorry. For 2024, I'm kind of like, okay, let me start like, so when January comes, I'm like hitting the ground, ready to go.
Mhm,
Like, hey, what are like kind of picking 5 big goals for the year? What are the 5 things I'm gonna accomplish? And I feel like I've always sorry. I feel like I've
You're good.
always done more like revenue based goals. Like I just pick a number
Mhm,
and then it happens.
mhm,
300K next year, so that's my goal. But I'm like, let me
mhm,
actually, what are the things that I'm doing?
mhm,
And anyways, so I was like trying to figure out what am I doing that's moving the needle? And I feel like I'm like, I could do this or I could do that, but I was getting kind of confused. And so
mhm,
I feel like it's hard for me to like, and then I think that boils down to my week to week. I'm kind of just flying by the seat of my pants of like what client needs this thing or that thing, or like responding to whatever message I get. Like I feel like I'm more reactive.
mhm,
The thought that's driving it probably is I don't know what to do. And I
mhm.
think it's that lack of what's the annual plan, and then that's not trickling down to like a weekly plan. But then when I try, okay, well, what is my plan? I'm like, I don't know what to pick. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
So does this come up whenever you think about your goal of 300K next year?
It comes, I think it's because I feel like a sense of like scarcity around time. So whenever I'm like,
That
okay,
makes sense.
here's time, like husband's home, I can work. And then I'm like, what am I doing with my time? I don't know. And so then I feel like I spin a little bit, or like
Mhm,
I had some time on Saturday, I was working and I just was kind of like, I jumping from thing to thing to thing. Uh, so yeah, I think it's more around the time, but I'm sure it is connected to the money too, of like, well, what's the thing that's actually gonna move the needle on the money?
yeah. I think it's like for like everyone, well, we're gonna get into like the action line. I'm like, I always jump to the A line, but it's like I don't want you to be doing actions still from this thought. I don't know. I can give you the best actions ever. We can talk through it, we can make a plan. But if this is something that has been a lingering, nagging thought for a while, like, oh my God, every time we want to like coach on that first, and then we can talk about a plan. But I want
Yeah.
you to think about like that feeling. It's a programmed feeling now. Anytime you get time for your business, that's like unexpected time or even planned time, you're like, don't know what to do. And what is that emotion that comes up?
I feel like it's probably actually similar to Nadia's with the like, it's too
Is
much. It's just like, I think it's kind of like just like a freeze sort of response.
it like
Um,
panic? Is it like just kind
yeah,
of like a,
similar to panic or like,
because I don't think it's as overwhelmed as like, oh my God, there's so much to do. Freeze, I'm thinking you've gone past that. Like
yeah,
overwhelmed, like it's like just it's kind of like frozen.
yeah. That's how I felt. It's like it literally is like cold in my body. So I would say
Yeah.
frozen. Freeze.
So like that, so I want you to imagine your husband comes home and you have like an hour and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I can work on my business, but like don't know what to do, feeling that panic, feeling that freezing. What else are you doing in that moment? Like you said, you kind of like jump from thing to thing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm excited. I'm like, yeah, I get time to work on my business. But then when I sit down, then it's like, there's all these things you've been wanting to do, and now what? So, yeah, jumping from thing to thing. I think I spend a lot of time like thinking about it. I feel like I spend a long time. I either spend like too much time on a thing, or I'm like not giving it the attention it needs. So I'm either getting stuck on a task, or I'm like bouncing and not even going fully into a task.
Yes.
What else?
And I just want like, have you ever sat down and like kind of like observed that before? Like been like, okay, this is what's going on. Because I want to like take a minute and be like, isn't that like interesting? Because your brain really wants to know what to do. It's like, I don't know what to do because you
Yeah.
really want to do something and then you don't do anything.
Well, and this was another
Mhm.
interesting. When I start doing things, like my brain will actually like judge the thing that I'm doing. Like
Love that.
so actually doing something, my brain's like, oh, you're not doing this fast enough, or this one's not worth your time. This one's not gonna like create the result you want, or this one's not gonna create the money you want. So like, and then that probably fuels me like, okay, well, let's switch to this one or that one. So that it's different than what you were saying, but it's just like that's another lens it kind of shows up for me. Is it's like once I'm actually doing a thing, it's like, oh, but you're not actually doing this thing the way you should be spending it on more high value activities, I guess.
Should be spending it on high value things. So what happens is you don't do the things you want to do, or you undermine your ability to get things done.
Yeah.
Now your brain thinks that like really like getting into like talking to you about like, okay, you need to get the results done, you need to do this high value thing, you need to know what to do. It thinks it's really helping you, but like it's not helping you. So what's coming up for your brain now when you see that like, oh, this thought really isn't serving me?
Bobby.
I know. I was like, it's not great, but it's okay.
I feel like I don't know. My brain's like, I know this doesn't work, but I'm like, what should I do instead? It's like looking for that.
Okay. So it's like, and when we're thinking about like the motivation behind it, it's like, it's really, I think that's why I asked about like, does it come up when you think about your goal of the 300K or things like that? Because your brain really wants you to help people. And it's like, it's trying to help you. And it's like, okay, we need to do high value things if we want to make this amount of money. It's very, very important.
Yeah.
But what it doesn't see is it's like hurting you. So if we think about your 300K goal for next year, I think that's, or even like your goal is to make your income this year. I think that's why your brain is like, oh my God, I need to do the right things. It's like a thought, like I have to do the right things to get it done.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. And I think that even boils down to like how I like when I'm writing copy, like I think, or I was writing posts and it took a very long time because it's like, I need to say the right thing, right? So someone buy.
Yep. And I think that like, I want to help you shift into a totally different self-concept where it's like everything that I do is the right thing. Like I always am doing the right thing because I'm just the person that's like, I have this desire to make this amount of money. I've done the math. Everything that I do is going to work because I'm deciding it will. And I literally like, I feel like I've shifted so much so since I even made my freaking reels for this launch. I like literally like from Halloween till now, I feel like a completely different person. I recognized that it was 14 days. And I was like, even though I wasn't in the same self-concept I am now, I'm choosing to believe that all those reels are exactly what people need. These 35 amazing humans need to work with me. every single post, I'm like, this is exactly what they needed to hear because I said it in this way. And I can look back and retweak it later. But in order for you to be now with the nanny and all these situations, instead of trying to make more time to spin and be like more time to create copy, I would like for you to just be like, oh yeah, I'm the kind of person that makes 300K. Everything I do works and brings these people in. How does that land first?
I like that everything I do works.
Mm-hmm. How do you think
That's
that?
really interesting because I was thinking the thought was like, I don't know what to do, but it's almost more like this isn't gonna work. And so I feel like confused or discouraged. And then I have like an A line of like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I'm spinning in confusion around it.
Mhm.
Versus because what you just offered me is like an alternative thought to like, this isn't gonna
Mhm.
work.
Yeah.
It's like right. And then from that place, whatever I feel, my A line might be more like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do, or like more like I'll have less of the I don't know thoughts as like a byproduct thought. I don't know.
What is that emotion? What comes up for you? Like everything I do works. It might be like you're trying on this belief, but like, do you say
Confidence.
confident? Yeah. So what would you do? You get an like surprise extra hour to work in your business, or surprise planned business time. You say what would be different about your actions?
Mm. My brain's like, I still don't know what I do. Maybe I need to sit in the feeling and the thought more. I mean, I probably would spend less time on things, I would think, because I would be less like perfectionistic around like what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd have more fun with it too.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to offer, DL, if you don't follow her, I just love her. She's just such a wonderful human. And she was saying that like having a 7-figure to multiple 7-figure business is very boring. It's not different. She's like, literally, we just do the same shit that made us 6 figures. Sorry, kid. I was like, child. I was like, sorry, I'm like cursing in front of your baby. And I'm like, oh God. But I'm like, but it's like, you just do the same stuff in less time and make it work. She's like, it's not different stuff. It's not adding stuff. And I literally like, it's
Well,
not
and some
Mhm.
think about that where I'm like, how much time I spent on like before I had her. And I'm like, I probably honestly did like I think a lot of different tasks I had expanded to fill time that I had. And so
Yeah.
so
So
I
what
have
do
thought
you think-
maybe like a good like little like training in how to operate like at a higher level where I do the same amount of stuff in less time.
Yes. And so it's like, we know you're not super snazzy, but like the ROI activities are what? Your podcast?
Yeah. Podcast. I mean that's like the huge one, honestly. Podcast, email, yeah, email, so, yeah, and Instagram.
Yep.
And then I think also like there's other things like obviously like spending time in the creating system, starting to track things more. Like I don't see that being part of like more the CEO, but I think my brain, like even those things, my brain's like, oh, that's not worth your time because like it's not directly impacting revenue, even though I see how like being disorganized or not knowing numbers like could affect long-term revenue.
And if we're thinking like, so it's like, if we're going to get into like, it's like almost like switching to like the CFO role or being like, okay, it's like if I'm going to be going, thinking about like, okay, it's like as a 7-figure business that I would like to build, it's like I have a CFO that's going to be doing this for me in order to run, maybe you want to run ads. That's something that you want to get the numbers for. If it's like, so it's like, this is my time for me to be my 7-figure self is to set into place these systems. Maybe I want to hire a social media person. Maybe I want to do this. It's like, so it's like, of course it doesn't sound snazzy to your 6-figure self, but at 7 figures, you're like, oh, of course, like this is actually quite fun.
Yeah. Because I think that's what my brain's like, 6-figure self. Okay. Coaching, selling, right? Like that's it. I like that idea of like my 7-figure self is spending time more as a CFO and CEO.
Yes. and then you can even hire out those things. If like, it's like, the thing is that's tricky about being a solopreneur that wants to grow to like a very, like a high level, is like you learn how to take on all these things and then you hire out all these things. So it's like, but then you learn the skill of managing people, and it's a whole different system. But it's like, there's it's still very much worth it for yourself, even if you hire a CFO, if you hire a COO to do all the organization piece of things. If you don't know how to manage that person, if you don't know what that role looks like, I think that like any of at the LCS talked about, like, I don't know if you've been in it as long as I have, but like Brooke talked forever about like how she I think she tried for like a year to hire a COO, and she couldn't hire a CEO. She wanted to hire a CEO.
Yeah.
She had to do it herself in order to hire the right person. So it's
Yeah.
like, again, these are like, even though it doesn't sound as like exciting to create these systems, these are the things that you're going to eventually hire. And you might need to hire a couple people
Yeah.
to do like the marketing, getting the content calendar, all that stuff. And so it's worth it to do it now.
Yeah.
I love this. So huge. I feel like this is a good tip for everybody. Just thinking everything I do works. Every single thing I do, I will make it work. Now, with this 300K goal of yours for next year, your brain's like, okay, I want to figure out the how. And I would love to just get some numbers for your brain, because if it's going to drama, let's get some data. So how many people would you need for your group in order to make 300K?
If I don't change my offer at all, that my brain's already wanting to do, it would be let's see, 150.
Okay. How many people would you want in your one-on-one? How many people, one of your clients?
I think it still would be around that 5 mark of 5 people one-on-one. So that, and other than I'm still kind of like thinking about how I want to do my one-on-one offer. I basically have it like every other week that I coach with them for 5 months for $5,000. So it's like 12 sessions technically. But so technically I could have like 10 at a time, which would equate to 5 a week.
Okay. So
I don't know if I can do that, but
let's just make the math easy. So it's like, if you had 5 clients that are paying you 5,000, I guess it would be 10 clients and let's say every 6 months.
yeah.
That's 50 grand, or that would be 100 grand. That'd be times 2. So it's like, for your brain, it's like all you would need to do is have 10 consistent clients one-on-one to hit at least the first 100K, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just with them. And then with the 150, what is your group price right now?
2K.
Okay, so then we just need to do, it's only 100.
Mm-hmm.
Because like 2,000. Yeah, it's only 100. So, and again, only 100. I mean, like, I know. So that is, but like, okay, if we break that down, then that would be, if you want to get 100 clients a month, this is whenever my brain's like, that's not right. I was like, but like 12 divided by 100. How many clients no, wait, the first one was right. It was like, you're gonna need 9 clients a month. 9
To join
people group a month. So 9 group a month, and that could be like 3 a week. How does that feel?
Bad.
Well, it's like, okay, whatever. And again, so what would we need to do but then, okay, what comes up that feels bad?
What's this? I think it's just like I can't, it's like saying I can't do that. I think that's what it is. It feels like blah.
Yeah. Okay. Have you signed 3 clients in a week before?
Yes.
When?
I don't know. I know I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, I think just because my sign up, like with raising my prices and shifting to the group, like how it's kind of lower, it's slowed. And so I think my brain's kind of like using that against myself of like, it's like, yeah.
but the thing is, okay, so yeah, it slowed, but when you first got started, it slowed too. And then you figured out a way to get it up. And then
Right.
so it's like, that's the flow of business. So your brain's
Right.
just like, oh, once I figured it out, it was supposed to be the same pace forever. And guess what? That's not how it works. I'm guessing with me raising my price for my group, my prediction is, even though I'm setting my sights higher, I'm guessing there might be a dip. And I'm cool with the dip because it's where I want to go. So I want you to think about, like, the reason why you made the decision to raise your price was not from a 6-figure self. It was from your 7-figure self. It's from
Yeah.
where you want to go, not from where you were. So your
Yeah.
6-figure self is like, oh, that's going to be really hard. This is where we rely heavily on that future self. And we're like, your future self is easily signing 3 clients a week for sure.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
So it's like she's figured out something that you didn't. So when we access that future version of you, right? The bad feeling is coming from the past. Like, I can't
Yeah.
do that. Like, this is my, and when I say like your 6-figure self, like, it's like,
Yeah.
it's
Well, and then that's where actually I noticed then the like, okay, well, let me change and fix my offer comes
to something
up.
lower, right? To something even more like,
Yeah. Like,
anything.
yes.
Mhm. But this is where again, that's why this was the first thing we did with the program, is like, okay, who is my 7-figure self? She figured, and again, I don't know if for me, my thought is 7 figures, but like your 300K self, if you
Yeah.
want to, like, like, that could also be good. And it's like, my 300K self intentionally made that decision to raise my price, because if I were to even lower my group offer, if I were to do that, I would have to get 200 people. It's like, that doesn't even make sense. If I were to lower my one-on-one, I would have to take on more clients, and that doesn't make sense. So when your 300K self, which is kind of meta, it's like, when she's like, oh, I just have to sign 3 clients a week, what is she thinking about that?
Probably like this is a no-brainer for them.
Oh my God. Can we just take a moment and look? I can't do that. This is a no-brainer for them.
Mm-hmm.
Totally shifting from you to them, right?
Yeah.
How does that feel? This is a no-brainer for them. How's that feel?
Better. I think my brain wants to argue for the reasons it's not, or it's not good enough for them, but I could definitely like work on the like creating evidence of why it's a no-brainer, or making it better so that it is a no.
Exactly. And so it's like, okay, it's like, this is just 2K. I think anyone on this call would say, would you have given 2K to figure out that your thoughts create your fucking feelings? And that, sorry, child, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But like, for the, like, it's like, your thoughts create your feelings. It's like, what? That you can control your thoughts and you can change the way you show up in life. They're just learning it in relationships. But I'm like, I would have given everything. When I was going through relationship struggles, 2K to just understand that I could be in control of the way I felt in a relationship, I would have been like, where has this been? Did you know what I've been through in my life in order for this to happen? I think just what you have, again, versus trying to add stuff, make it better. I think exactly as your program is already a no-brainer for them.
I think part of the reason, I think part of the reason my brain argues against it is because like so I signed up 3 people in October for my group, which is awesome. And one of the 3 people has been coming. The other 2 I haven't seen at all. And so I think that kind of gets in my head of like, oh look, I'm selling this person this thing and they're just probably not even going to use it.
Okay.
Which the girl who's been coming, I'm like, she's loving it. I think it's been great for her. So, and I know there's like, I probably just need to maybe make the onboarding experience better and easier for them.
Or you also trust that they're getting what they came for. Like, do you see how like your solutions are to add more, and you can, and we can add, but just from an empowered place of like, this program is phenomenal. I would love to make it even better versus it's not good. They're not using it and there's a problem and I need to make it better. For you, it's like stepping into that, like,
there isn't a problem to solve.
And there are people who have paid for this group, paid more, and maybe don't show up. You missed a call. It's like everyone misses calls. No big deal. It's like I'm trusting that you guys get what you came for. I totally am like, oh. And also with the last rounds, I was like, oh, I would like to have everyone actually make the templates on the call. I was like, I would like to, but it's like there are thoughts about your clients there that like they're not going to get what they came there for. Versus what if just investing $2,000 in having a better relationship? What if that was a transformation in and of itself?
Huh. I guess I feel like I'm scared of them if that's what they do.
It's like they are adults, you are not scamming them. But I mean, thinking about like how it feels to show up when you pay like $1,000 like thing, it's like you're like, oh, I'm really prioritizing this. And even
Yeah.
just like your thought shift. Have I
Yeah.
bought programs that have been a lot of money and I haven't done them?
Yeah. Yes.
But did it still shift my self-concept to be like, I want to prioritize this and eventually I'll come back to this for sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I was scammed. It didn't mean that I wasn't supported. It didn't mean the program was bad. It's just that like even that was enough for me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you like we all have done that. So it's like it's still a no-brainer for them, even if they decide not to show up or not use it at all.
Okay.
How does that feel? Like that self-concept, like because they're going to have access to the for at least a year. That's enough.
I can like see like a glimmer of it.
Okay, we're just gonna keep working on it. But
Yeah.
like, okay, let's say if you want to add more, you can always add more. But then we just want to
Right.
make sure it's like a revenue generating.
But from a place of like this is already working.
Back to this is working. How does this is already working? And I want to make it even better. How does that feel?
Like a fight.
What is it?
My brain feels like it's really good to like it's like protecting my clients to be like trying to like make it better or discount the ways that it is working. I don't know
Okay.
why.
No, of course, because like I'm like, oh my God, should I like, but I'm not going back and like to Demetria because she did the first group and I'm not like, I owe you 3K, girl. I'm like, that probably wasn't good. I'm like,
That's literally what my brain does.
I know because I'm like, Demetria got exactly what she came here for. I did the best job to the best of my ability. I was put on this earth at this exact time for Demetria and all other than 9 people to invest at that one point. And I did the very best I could. I know that I gave it everything I could, and it was a mess. And if we look at the business fulfillment mastermind, I'm like, that was a lot. I give them all of the literally like, look at this. That's terrifying. Oh my God. Too much. It was too much stuff. But I was doing it from a place of love for them, knowing that I could support them. And I continue to make improvements from a place of like, this might not be it. There's never going to be a point when I'm sure I feel like there might be, but then I'll probably have another project, but where I'm ever like, I don't want to ever make improvements. Like I always want to improve and keep
Yeah.
growing, but just
Yeah,
places
like
it's
one
not working.
product before I sell it almost.
Right. That's that perfectionist what we were talking about before. It's like, and that perfectionist is trying to protect you and support them. But we're just seeing that like if you stay in that perfectionist tendency, what happens is you just don't get things done. And then those people, the way that I think about it is this is the best I've got. Someone can get so much better and they're going to learn so much, even if just about themselves by investing in that much money, quote unquote, in my brain. But they're going to learn so much about themselves. They're going to learn so much about their business. It's absolutely going to work for them. And I'm also like, I want to show up for, like, if I don't show up at all, and if I just wait until it's perfect, you guys would never get helped. You know? And so it's like, when we come from that place of like, I want to show up and do the best I can because me showing up imperfectly is better than not showing up at all. And even, I was like, even if you're just getting the podcast and hearing you coach somebody once a week, that's enough for them to feel 2K. So how does that feel? I want you to make that, because that's at like your 300K self into the future. I know that she feels that in her heart. Like I know that she does. How does that feel for you now?
Sorry, my child's melting down.
No.
I think that feels better. And again, I think it is like I see glimmers of it, so I think it's just the practicing it. I want to come back and rewatch this because I want to let it kind of sit in more.
Yes. I was like, definitely rewatch this, but if you're feeling better and you're thinking about this goal that you have, if you're thinking about the things that you want to do, getting 3 people a week, what would you do from that place instead of the spinning situation? It's like, what would you want to do to bring in? How cool would that be? 3 more people every single week that get an experience to work with you. It's like, that would be so fun and so exciting. Like, I want you to think about like what you would want to do from that place of possibility and excitement and joy. And it's like, I know, I was like, I'm sorry, bottle first. But I think that what would happen is that you would make improvements from a better place and help people along the way. And feel free to add think about what you would want to do and feel free to post it in the group. I know that your little nugget's going, but I really do think that this is going to be a really big shift for you. And I'm so excited for you. I really I think it's going to be amazing. So
Sorry, it's almost nap time.
I was like, we got it.
No, I like yeah, like I like the idea of thinking of like it's gonna be fun to sign 3 people. Do you say it's 3 people a week or 3 people a month?
9 people a month.
9 people a month. Okay.
But actually, that was what I did it for 150, I think. Oh no,
Yeah.
so it's like if you want to get 100 more people into the group, if we divide that by 12 months, that's 8.3 people a month, and that would be 8.3 divided by 4 weeks. Nope, I did times 4. Whoops. Not times 4, divided by 4. It's 2 people a week.
Okay.
So like, what would be so fun for 2 people a week to sign?
Like, what would I do that would be fun?
Yeah, what would be like? Maybe we need to change that that your podcast intro and outro.
Could it be like that easy? Because that would be fun.
Wouldn't that be awesome if we were just like, hey everybody, I am so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for listening. Also, let me know. It's like, this is an incredible program for you. It's this much. Use the link in my show notes. What's your program called?
Love over fear.
Oh, it's like, I want you to be in the Love Over Fear program. I want you to feel that. It's like, I would be honored to be your coach. If you want to do more, it's like, let's dive into this work. You know how podcasts go. It's like, listen to a couple and be like, okay, what do they say? But I would say it at the beginning and ending. Just be like, it's like, welcome. What's your name of your podcast?
Relationship anxiety.
It's like, hello everyone, my name is Mikkel. Welcome to the Relationship Anxiety podcast. I am so honored to have you on. If you're liking what you're hearing and you want to do more work, dive in deep with me in my Love Over Fear group. The links are in the show notes. I would love to have you. Podcast. End of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. I know this is going to make your week so much better. And when you are ready to join the Love Over Fear program, you are going to get 12 months of content. It is going to be the most in-depth relationship anxiety coaching you've ever felt. I would be honored to do this work with you. Definitely make sure you're signing up using the link in my bio. And I cannot wait to see you in this group.
I like that.
And maybe do
Other than my brain, if I change the name of my group, because I feel like as you've been sharing names, I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep the name the same.
Oh my gosh, stop changing stuff. Mikkel. Even for the next, okay, if it's just for the next, if you want to change it, we want to do it for a place like this name, Love Over Fear. How many people have you signed into this group?
Like 30.
Okay, so 30 people have loved this name. Tons of
Okay.
people listen to your podcast. So it's like this name works and I want to make it even better. The business fulfillment mastermind totally worked and I wanted to make it even better.
Yeah.
Different thought frame versus like, oh, these other names are better. Oh my gosh, this doesn't even explain what I do versus like being like business fulfillment. Amazing. That's what I wanted to do. And I felt like by having these systems, you would feel more fulfilled. However, I want to make sure I also talk about six figures because I think it's going to help me with my search engine optimization.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cool. Thank you.
I love you. Thank you for coming for coaching. I think that helped everyone so much so. And I know we have 3 minutes left. So if you have to go, I love you dearly. However, if you have a smidge more time and didn't get coaching and would like coaching, I can stay on a little bit extra today if you need it. I am here for you always. And I'm here for you in the classroom. I'm here for you for all the things. Anyone else want some quick coaching?
Hey, me
Yes.
again.
Take
I
it.
always wait. I'm like, is anyone going to speak? Because I like to
And
give other
literally, if
people a
anyone
chance.
wants to speak, please post in the stream. You've got me. Otherwise, Nadia, bring it. We got it.
No, I just want to ask a question. So
Yeah.
I keep in my intention, I'm like, oh, I'm going to create my webinar, which I've not done yet. In my head, it's swirling around in the back of my head, and I've not done it. So, but you had said last week, oh, like bring it to me and I can help you with it. So what's the best way to get help from you on doing it? Like, should I like create it and then post it? Or like, do you know what I mean? Like, what's the best way to get support from you on it?
Thank you for asking because I think this is something that everyone probably wants to know. And what I would love to see is like, I think the 3 steps to creating a webinar would be the script, the slides, and then the marketing. Those are like the 3 kind of aspects of it. So what I would love, that would be really helpful for me, especially like to support you and figure out what's best. I've had a lot of people, mostly with one-on-ones, just sending me stuff, which is great. But like it would be a lot to look over your entire webinar
Of
in
course.
one setting. So it would be amazing for you and for anybody else. I'm more than happy to look over. If you want me to look over, I know I've tagged a lot of you in like the grid of 3 thing that I have in my Facebook group. If you want me to look over Harmony, I was like, you sent that to me. That's great. Like, if you want to send that to me, put it in the Facebook group, but like having like it be like, oh, hey, Megs, I want you to look through. And if you're not in the Facebook group, I'm going to include a link for the Facebook group because I'm doing this as the last piece of our call. I promise I will put this in the notes for today. But if you're like, hey, Megs, I would love for you. Oh, and it accidentally unpinned. I need to like repin this stuff. But unpin. Where do you go to unpin it? It's fine. But that's very important for you guys. So like for the 6-figure systems, you know what I'm talking about, where I slide over and it has all my pillars. Do you know what I'm talking about? If you want me to look
Oh,
through
yeah,
it,
yeah.
I was like, again, I'm gonna pin it right now so I don't forget because that's important. It's here. It's right after this. I was like, but everyone, you know what I'm talking about, like this 6-figure systems thing. At least I thought it was.
You had it way up in your feed, like
I know. It's like it's from a long time ago and I should probably rewrite it.
you pinned it. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, it's in here. It's somewhere like deep within the
The one
deck.
that's normally pinned to the
The one
top.
that's normally pinned. Oh, y'all, it's fine. I'll find it. This one, the 6-figure systems, this one. You know what I'm talking about. That has all
Yes,
the
that
right
one. Yeah, yeah.
pillars. So that one, if you want me to look over it, if you want me to look over anything, bring it to me and just tell me what do you like about it. Literally like the weekly eval. It's like what's working, what needs improvement, and what do you think you need to tweak. And then, or even just send it to me and be like, hey, this is what I want feedback on specifically. So that way I know to like look for it. Like within your slides and things like that. If you were to send me all these slides, I would be like, there's a lot here. But like if you were like, hey, I feel like this slide 9 is really confusing. Can you help me say this in a better way? That would be
Okay.
very helpful for me versus like getting all 13 of these slides and being like, oh my gosh, I was like, it seems pretty good, but what piece do you not like? And also I
Okay,
just mentioned like instant forgiveness. Like, please, like, do not be hard on yourself. The purpose of these systems for everybody is not for them to be perfect. It's literally so that you guys can augment and change them and like adapt them as needed. I don't do outreach even every time when I have it on my calendar, don't always do it. And that's okay. Totally fine. I'm not like the purpose is not to feel so structured, like I mentioned with the marketing. It's like it's not to feel so structured that it stifles you and who you want to be in your business. It's to create structure so you can feel more freedom. So
yeah,
again,
for sure.
and of course, it's like I needed to plan the slides for my webinar. Totally didn't do that. So I'm like, oh, I should do that this week. And mine is in 2 weeks. And I'm like, probably should do that. And I'll do that soon.
So, but when you say send them to me, like, how do you want me to
Oh,
send
sorry.
stuff?
I want you to
to
like
you?
take the link like
Well,
this.
I don't understand what you were saying about the Facebook group. What were you saying about the Facebook group?
Oh, okay. Like, so it's like I tagged like I think Mikkel in this post because I was like, because she was talking her, it's like someone
Hey,
sorry,
everybody.
what's it called? Harmony, not what's it called? Harmony as a human. She was like talking about like announcing her program. And I was like, oh, you should do that. You should make one of these pins. So I
Mhm.
tagged her in this Facebook group post. And I can
Mhm.
add this for you guys too. I can send you a link. I don't know how to, I think I just need to download this video or something. I'll put that in the stream and in the classwork. But if you wanted me to look over it, when you have like if it's in Canva, if you just send me and you go like this and you go share, only you can access, anyone with the link can edit. You can copy the link and you can put it in the classroom stream like that and be
Mhm.
like, it's like, hey,
Okay.
I would love feedback on slide 3. I feel like it's not clear. Something like that would be great. If you want me to look over your PowerPoint, same deal, use click share. And then
Okay.
anyone with the link can either view. I would prefer to be a commentator on it. So I
Mhm.
can at least like make notes on the slides that I have and then do
Yeah.
copy link, same thing.
Okay.
But just in here would be great so that like also I think that like probably everyone would like want to hear what you have to say. So
Yeah.
putting that in here would be amazing. Like exactly
Okay, great.
like just like Alicia did. She was like, it's like, does this sound compelling? She's like, it was so complicated. Here's the outline. And I was like, okay, this is great. And I was like, is the title 5 myths because this is a long title, but I would love to make it shorter. And then so she was like, any other suggestions would be great. It's like trail talk. It's like, yeah, I want to speak to the results more. So I'd be like, yeah, like let me think of a good result, but I do think that's a good setup for her. So I can do that for
So
you.
is there a way to get notified? Because I seem to miss, like I don't like you know when someone posts in the stream,
I
is
don't
there a
know.
way to be like so you get notified of it? Because that I seem to like only when I go in intentionally look.
I have no idea. It's probably, but it might be on the app, or you might be
Okay.
getting emails. Like I think you can go to settings, notification. Here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna it must not be on because I don't I only get it when you post content in it, but I don't seem to get notifications when other people comment.
Maybe you can change it to like, maybe it's like comments on your post, comments that mention you, private comments on work, or email notifications for all the things.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that would be good because I feel like you miss out on chatting with people, you know, because I don't see the posts. So,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
amazing. Such a good question. I hope that helps
Okay.
everybody because I'm like, I really want you. Yes, perfect, amazing. I love, okay, love this. Okay, yes, amazing. I just want to make sure all the chat questions were like addressed. I'm like checking, I'm like, where is the chat? But you guys are amazing. I love you so much. And I cannot wait to see you guys next week. It's gonna be
Okay.
great.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.